Hey everybody, what's going on? David Kurz here, Kurz Real Estate, doing another episode of Confessions of a Real Estate Agent with Lori Scott, our Coconut Grove queen. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our little intro there. But check this out. We're sitting here with Lori Scott. Lori Scott I've known for how many years now? It's probably about 4 or 5 years, right?
At least.
Awesome. And so Lori lives literally like walking distance from our office. So when we opened the office, we're like, hey, Lori, want to come check us out? She came by. We struck a deal. She joined us, and now you're with us. You've been with us for quite some time now, right?
Yeah.
So probably almost the longevity of our existence. Number 23.
Number 23.
Yeah, that's a good number to have,
right.
by the way.
Good
I'm
number
just
to
saying.
have.
Those, all you sports fanatics out there just went crazy. Number
Right?
23, yeah. So, in Confessions of a Real Estate Agent, what we like to do, and so you know, none of the agents that we sit with are ever prepped for this conversation. So you're always getting the good stuff. So you know, we're going to go over conversations, real life scenarios, because the whole objective to this is to ensure that the agents that are out there watching, or just people want to know what the industry is about, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to talk to you about what's really happening in real estate, what real life scenarios are truly like, what it's like to be a real estate agent. Now, I always like to start with a famous question.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Talk to me, first of all, tell me about your business. Where's the majority of your business? You know, and kind of the clients that you service.
Most of my current business, my new business, is in the Grove.
Okay.
I focus heavily here because it's where I live, it's where I work, and I love it. But most of my business still comes from referrals, repeat business. So I have customers all over Miami.
Okay.
Even a couple in Broward, because I want to keep servicing those people too. So my repeat business is what keeps me going. But I do a lot of my business here in the Grove.
A lot of new business here in the Grove,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
All right, so biggest marketing challenge that you've ever had being in real estate?
Well, the biggest marketing challenge I think most people have coming into real estate is being able to afford marketing. So there have been times where I've had to get really creative and really clever and not be intimidated by someone else has this glossy postcard that I can't afford to put out. I'm not at all intimidated by someone else has got the market or any of those things.
And it's funny because I oftentimes hear that, and you're here in Coconut Grove, and I oftentimes hear people ask me, all right, so this is the area I want to farm, or this is the area I want to market in, but so-and-so is already so heavy in that market. And I go, who cares?
Yeah, they can't service everyone, and they're not the right fit for everyone, just like I'm not. You know, there are certain people that I'm going to be able to service better than they can just because of personality.
Yep.
Or maybe, you know, I have a lot of business that I can't even walk to. You know, that I don't even drive my car over to a listing, so I can show it any time.
Yeah.
You know, within a 5-minute notice. Someone's sitting outside the house, I'll be right there.
I'll be right there, exactly.
So it's, you know, I'm not intimidated by someone else has the market. I think sometimes it's just a matter of getting more creative.
Okay.
So you get the attention. And I think when a lot of people start out, they don't necessarily have all that money. They feel like, I can't do, you know, what this top producer's doing.
I can't do this right now, and you
so
know, how do I compete? And then they allow that to kind of just
freeze them.
They freeze in their own traction.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right, so craziest client you've ever had to deal with?
Oh, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And I love the crazies. Don't get me wrong. I say I attract crazy. Okay. I would say craziest, but I love her, and it was
now you don't have
fun,
to say any
crazy.
names.
I won't say her name, but she's going to know because she's on my Facebook.
Hi.
Hi. There you are, talking about you. And I loved her. When I say she was crazy, it was more like it ended up being a really fun. I had a family, and it was a son and his wife and their child, and she was pregnant. And mom was also involved in helping them find a house. And mom was love her, love her, love her.
I know where this is going already.
Super overprotective, wanted to make sure the son was making a good move, wanted to make sure he was getting a good house. And she was like the drive-by queen, the driving by the house at night to see what the neighborhood was like at night, going to the police department to ask the police, what's the crime really like here? So it was interesting, trying to help them as a couple kind of establish themselves. This was the first time he was buying on his own. His mom had originally helped him make a purchase, and he was a very strong, confident guy, so he knew what he wanted. His wife knew what he wanted, but we also had mom. So it was fun. It was interesting.
It's a
and now,
challenging.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and how do you think that you were able to manage that? To manage a third-party person, because that's what mom was at this time, because it was the son and the wife that were buying the house. So how do you manage a third party that's heavily involved and emotionally vested?
Right. In this case, I was fortunate. I had a really good relationship with everyone in the party. So it was easy for me to kind of reach out to the son, who's really the decision maker, and exactly. And for him to also kind of help keep it in check, because sometimes I wasn't really sure, because you're just meeting people lots of times.
Yeah,
You don't
of course.
know
You don't know how to
them.
respond sometimes.
Right.
You can only respond, I guess, professionally in a way.
Right.
But you don't want to be messing with nobody's mama.
Oh, exactly. And I love this mama, let me tell you. So it was kind of keeping in check, like who's really in control, and servicing that person the most, and allowing, in mom's case, I let her do her thing, and if she wanted to call me and tell me about crime in a certain neighborhood, I listened and I respected, and I told her, you know what, I appreciate how much you care about your child, and I didn't try to tell her her input wasn't important, because it was. Her son valued her input, and so I did too.
All right. Worst deal you ever did?
Oh, well, the worst deals you ever do are the ones you don't do, the ones
Tell
that
me
don't
about
close. I had a really, really negative experience with a contract where after inspections are finished, the dad's a contractor buying a house for the daughter, and goes to pull the permits from the city and finds out nothing in this house had ever been permitted except for what could be seen on the outside, doors and front windows, and the entire house had been redone. And we were already past the inspection period. And he, of course, in this particular contract, he had to figure this out during the inspection period, and he didn't. He waited, went to the building department. Building department took him a little time to get the information. By the time he gets the information, there's no permits, and was refusing to move forward with the sale because he didn't want his daughter to inherit any problems in the future. What if she wanted to do something to the house, and they came in and saw this entire house has been remodeled?
Remodeled,
So
yeah.
it was a tough one. I mean, they ended up in litigation and losing part of their deposit, and as a realtor, it was difficult to see your customer go through something like that. And not really be able to find a solution that was good for either party, the seller or the buyer.
Nice.
So that was a learning experience for me.
That is a hell of a learning experience,
Yeah.
because so 2 lessons to be learned here. Third parties are welcome. Mom is always welcome, but
Always.
learn how to manage mom accordingly, and learn how to communicate with the actual decision maker and involve the decision maker with the situations that you're involving mom in, always. That's lesson number 1 to be learned. Lesson number 2 to be learned is do what you're supposed to do during the inspection period, so you're not losing money after the inspection period. Those permits should have been pulled day 1 so that you can do it within the time frame of your inspection period, and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, nothing in this doggone house has been permitted, therefore I'm out. And you could have gotten out clean and moved on to the next property. Did they end up buying another property with you in the future, or did that kind of leave a bad taste in their mouth altogether?
It was, well, I'm actually, again, still friends with the daughter on Facebook, but they did end up doing something else much later for her, and didn't use me, and I totally understood. I was grateful. She's still my friend.
And it's unfortunate that they didn't use you, and I'll tell you why, because as a real estate agent, do you find that you often get blamed for things like this? And I think that oftentimes buyers may be a little misinformed, or sellers may be a little misinformed, and oftentimes they don't understand the scope of the job of the person that they're
Right.
hiring. And as a real estate agent, they feel like you are their conduit to everything in
Right.
the deal and everything involved. And we often get at times we'll get blamed for things like that, but how would you know that
Right.
nothing had been done unless they came forward and said so?
Exactly.
Or
Had-
you went and pulled the
Yeah,
permits
but-
yourself, which is not in the scope of your business.
Right.
Right?
And I think that if I had realized how important it was to Dad, because I wasn't dealing with Dad. Again, I was dealing with
he wasn't
daughter-in-law
involved,
showing
yeah.
houses. Dad kind of came in after the fact, and had I known this was so important to him, I probably even would have
suggested it and pushed it.
extended our inspection time, or said, hey, let's withdraw until you get them.
So communication, back to
Exactly.
communication.
Not knowing who all my
communication would have been
parties were
stronger.
and what was important to them.
Absolutely.
Was that. But as far as like people, I don't often feel like I get blamed for things because I let everyone know who's responsible and why. And
Good,
and
so
who they-
you're communicating all
Yeah.
of this well.
And I learned that early on, holding on to my
Okay.
transactions, being in control of my transactions, and luckily I got trained by someone really amazing who was all about, you stay involved every step. Make sure your lender's doing what they're supposed to be doing, the title company's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Make sure you have a good home inspector. Just stay in control of your transaction. That's how you get to the end.
All right. Most important partners you should have in your transactions.
Well, I think everyone's important. You have to have a really good title company, someone people trust. Especially doing a lot of my business in West Grove, these houses have been passed down and passed down and passed down. There's so many-
Generation over generation.
and people start to worry, like, is this title really clear, or is there any clouds on it? There's 5 family members. So having a really good title company is super important.
Okay.
My lenders are always really important. Like,
Of course,
I
for your
have to work
buyers,
with somebody. I've only had a couple transactions where I haven't said no. Not that I can tell them who to use, but when they say they want to use a certain lender, I'm like, can you just check out mine first and then decide? If you still want to use yours, fine, but please check out mine, because it's really important to me that I can call them anytime, weekends, nights, and not that I'm one of those crazy people to be calling you at midnight, but my life doesn't go 9 to 5.
Yep.
So I don't work banker's hours, so I can't be in that position where I got to wait until Monday and your buyer's anxious. And I think everybody, and your buyers, you have to have a really good home inspector who knows how to not just inspect a home, but manage the buyer's emotions. It's a very emotional time for buyers.
Best piece of
So-
advice that you can give to a real estate agent just getting into this career, when you think about, and I want to be clear about this,
Okay.
when you think about the negative things that could happen in a deal, best piece of advice you can give them so that they know that this is real life, shit does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best piece of advice you can give them to be prepared for that?
Well, I think one thing is don't be scared to ask questions at all. I mean, especially here in our office, you're easily accessible. I'm here to answer questions. Eric's here to answer questions. Know who you can pick up the phone. Make that an alliance, even if it's just with another agent who's been in business for a little while, who's willing to take you under their wing. Don't be scared. There's no stupid questions for real in this business. Even I still have questions, because things are also always changing.
Yep.
So don't come at this like you know it all, because none of us do. Don't be scared to ask the questions, and really just protect your customer.
Awesome.
Know how to protect the customer.
Awesome. All right, a lot of great advice given by Lori here. You can find her on our website at kurzre.com, and you can connect with her for the West Grove right here, or Coconut Grove in general, or as she said earlier, her referrals come all over Miami and Broward counties. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that you're pulling away from this some great information and understanding that the real estate business is not what it is on TV. It's not as easy as they show, and things do happen. Shit gets crazy, and you need to know how to handle it. And that's why we do these things, so that these folks right here, these experienced and awesome agents, can give you some piece of advice on how to proceed in a business that is fruitful, that is beautiful, but is one of definitely the most difficult businesses to be in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.